channel. In this video I will show you how to make these Victorian gloves. The project will be a combo of knitting and crocheting, and this video will be divided into two parts. First part will be on how to knit this French rib cuff, and the second part will be on how to crochet the lace for these gloves. For this project you will need a main color yarn. I'm using a darker one for the main portion of the glove. Then you will need a different color for the lace. I am using a thinner crocheting or even tatting yarn. This one's ending, but I have a backup because I want the lace to be thinner and more delicate than the glove itself, but you can use any yarn you like. You will of course need needles, and this time I'm just using regular needles, not circular. I am also here using buttons for the embellishment. If you don't want to use buttons, or maybe you want to use bows or different type of buttons, then you will need that as well, or you don't have to use anything at all. I will also need this little tool to get the yarn in and out. Not really sure what it's called, but it helps you thread the yarn through the needle, and of course the hook for the lace. This is going to be a combo. I'm going to be using needles for the main cuff rib for the glove, and I'm going to be using a hook to crochet the lace. So it's both knitting and crocheting project. I will be casting on one needle, and the amount of stitches that you need to cast, you need to be able to divide that number on 4. And also keep in mind that you will also need to add 3 extra stitches for symmetry and 2 extra stitches for the edge. Because of that, when you're counting the amount of stitches that you need, please always account for 5 extra stitches. I will be doing a regular cast on. The video for the regular cast on is available on my channel, and I will link it in the description down below. And I need 32 stitches plus 5 stitches extra. I will meet you when I have the needed amount of stitches casted. I need to cast 36, but because of 5 extra stitches, I only casted 32. Now I'm going to cast 3 more stitches for the symmetry. 1, 2, 3, and 2 stitches for each edge. 1, 2. And this will put me to 37 stitches, 1 stitch over of what I need, but it's not that much, so it is okay. And remember, you still have to have amount of stitches casted that you can divide on 4 regardless of extra stitches, because the extra stitches that you casted, they are not part of the pattern. If you're not gonna have enough for the pattern, if you're not gonna have number that you can divide on 4, you will not have the right result. This pattern will consist of 2 rows, so row number 1 and row number 2 will repeat themselves. So you will go the even amount of the rows and uneven. You will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but 1, 2 will repeat itself, and this will go lengthwise. The widthwise, the pattern will repeat itself every 4 stitches. Okay, so we are ready to begin. First stitch is not a part of the pattern, it will be the edge stitch, and it will be the same every row. We're just going to take this stitch off, it's a slip stitch, with our yarn in the back of our work. We will be taking this stitch off our needle as if to purl, like so. And this stitch will be the same every row. After the first stitch, we're starting our pattern, which is 3 knitted stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 1 slip stitch, yarn in front of the work, and it is a slip of stitch as if to purl, yarn in the front. So as soon as we take it off, yarn goes in the back, and now the pattern repeats itself. 3 knitted stitches again. 1, 2, 3, yarn goes to the front, and it is a slip of stitch as if to purl, like so. Yarn goes in the back after. 3 knitted stitches again. 1, 2, 3, yarn goes to the front, slip of stitch as if to purl, yarn moves to the back. I will continue knitting 3 knitted stitches, 1 slip-off stitch until I have 4 stitches left at the end. I have 4 stitches left. My last stitch was a slip-off stitch, yarn in the front. Now I have 4 stitches left. 3 stitches will be knitted. Last stitch is an edge stitch and it will be a purl stitch. And I have completed row number 1. And this is half a pattern. I know you can't tell much yet, but we will get there. Now we're going to start on row number 2, which is a second part of the pattern. Row number 2 starts with an edge stitch, which is a slip-off stitch. We're taking it off as if to purl, and the yarn is in the back. Next 2 stitches are off pattern stitches. First stitch was a slip-off stitch. Second one will be a knitted stitch. Third stitch will be a slip-off yarn in the front, and we're going to take it off as if to purl. And then yarn goes in the back. And now we're starting our pattern again, which is 3 knitted stitches. 1, 2, 3, yarn in the front, slip-off stitch as if to purl. Yarn goes to the back after. Now 3 knitted stitches again. 1, 2, 3, yarn to the front, slip-off stitch as if to purl, and then yarn goes to the back. 3 knitted stitches. 1, 2, 3, yarn to the front, slip-off stitch as if to purl, and then yarn goes to the back. And next is 3 knitted stitches, and I'm going to repeat this pattern until I'll meet you at the end. I am at the end of row number 2. If you remember, at the beginning we had an edge stitch, of course, and then we had 2 off pattern stitches. Now at the end we're left with 1 off pattern stitch, because we have 3 stitches that are off pattern for symmetry, and 1 edge stitch. So the last 2 stitches go as follows: 1 knitted and an edge stitch, and the edge stitch is a purl stitch. And I finish row number 2. I don't know if you can tell already, but you can kind of see a little bit the pattern that we started here. Third row is going to be the same as row number 1. I'm going to repeat it with you again. So first edge stitch, we're going to take off as if to purl, yarn in the back of our work. It's a slip-off stitch. Now we're going to do 3 knitted stitches. 1, 2, 3, yarn goes to the front. Next is a slip-off stitch as if to purl, and when we take it off, yarn goes to the back. Next is 3 knitted stitches again. 1, 2, 3, and now a slip-off stitch, yarn to the front as if to purl, taking stitch off, and yarn goes to the back. 3 knitted stitches again. 1, 2, and 3, yarn to the front, slip-off stitch as if to purl, taking it off, and yarn goes to the back. Next is 3 knitted stitches. I will continue the pattern and I will meet you at the end when I have 4 stitches left. I'm at the end of row number 3. My next stitch is still a pattern, which is a slip-off, yarn in the front, taking the stitch off as if to purl. And now I'm left with 4 stitches that are off pattern, 3 and 1 edge stitch. 3 off pattern stitches will be knitted stitches. And edge stitch, as always, a purl stitch. And I finished row number 3. Now we're gonna start working on row number 4, turning my needle. Row number 4 starts with a slip-off stitch as if to purl, yarn in the back. Next off pattern stitch will be a knitted stitch. Next off pattern stitch will be a slip-off stitch yarn in the front. We're taking it off as if to purl, and yarn goes to the back. And now we're starting our pattern, which is 3 knitted stitches. 1, 2, 3, yarn to the front, slip off stitch as if to purl, taking this off needle, yarn goes to the back, 3 knitted stitches again, 1, 2, 3, slip off stitch, yarn to the front, taking stitch off as if to purl off the needle, and yarn goes to the back. Next is 3 knitted stitches and then a slip off stitch again, and this will continue till the end of the row, and I will meet you when I have 2 stitches left. And I am at the end of row number 4. I just did a slip off stitch, and now I have 2 stitches left. One is off pattern stitch and one edge stitch. The off pattern one will be a knitted stitch, and the edge stitch, as always, a purl stitch. And I finished row number 4, and now I completed 2 rows of pattern. Next row will be row number 5, and it will be the same as row number 1 or row number 3. After number 5 will be 6th row, and it will be the same as row number 2 and row number 4. You will continue to repeat this pattern until you have the desired length of the glove. However many rows you need, how long do you want your glove to be? We'll continue knitting my rows until I have the desired length, and I will meet you then. So I just wanted to show you a little bit of the pattern that is forming now. Once I completed a few of the rows, you can clearly see now how the rib is taking shape. This is one side and this is the other, and they are identical. I also wanted to say that if you by some chance forgot which row you are on, if you are on your uneven row or even row, if it's a first or a second, third or fourth, and so on. If you finished a row and both the working yarn and the tail are on the same side, it means that you finished 2 rows and completed a single pattern of 2 rows. If your working yarn is on this side, but your tail is on the other side, like so, it starts right here, it means that you only finished half of pattern. You only done an even row and not the even one. So for example, you only finished a 3rd row and you still have a 4th one to go to finish the pattern round. So I finished the main portion of the glove, and these rounds are very easy to count. You can see where they go: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. I wanted my glove to be short, but if you want it to be longer and a bit higher on your forearm, you can keep on knitting until you get the desirable length. This cuff style is very stretchy and also looks really cute, I think. And it also looks the same on each side. If I turn it, it looks the same on both sides. Next step would be is to finish off the top, and you can of course do this with needles, but I like to use hook for this because it just makes it so much easier. And since this project is already a combo of knitting and crocheting, then I think hook will just go very well here. So the concept is the same as when you are using 2 needles, but the stitches are easier to catch with the hook. I'm gonna go into the first stitch with the hook and crochet the first stitch, taking it off the needle. Now I'm gonna do the second one the same, and I will pull the second stitch through the first, and I cast it off the first stitch. Continue. I'm going to crochet another stitch, pull it off, and slide it through the one I had on my hook to cast it off again. So I have one on my hook, going into the next stitch on the needle, knitted or crocheted, however you want to call, and I'm going to pull through the one I already had, and 3 are casted off now. I don't know, I just think it's so much easier to do it with the hook than to try and maneuver 2 needles. It just makes a very beautiful square and neat edge. At least that's what I think. I'm going to continue casting off all the stitches, and I will meet you back when I'm done. So I finished casting off. This is the main portion of the glove. It is now almost done. I have one stitch left, which I will finish as you normally would. Now here you need to decide which side of the glove is going to be up and which one is going to be down. Now usually you want to put the more refined and prettier edge on the top because this is where your eye will go. So I am thinking that I want the cast on area to be the top of my glove and the cast off area to be the bottom of the glove. I will leave a very long tail here when I cut the yarn off because I will use that yarn to sew in my glove together. If you're gonna be using this as a bottom, then you will have to leave the original tail longer, or you can just use a completely separate yarn to sew the thing together. It's fine too. So here I'm just going to predict how much I need, but I'd rather to have too much than not enough. This might do. So I marked the glove where it will meet with another edge, like so. So this will be the top and this will be the bottom. And here is the marker to where I need to stop sewing the two parts together. And I also already threaded my extra yarn that I left. Now both sides look the same, but you can also decide which one looks better, just in case some threads sticking out somewhere. They are both fine to be the face side, so you can also decide which one you like better. So when you look at the edges, you will see that they look like knitted stitches. And the way we're going to sew them together is we're going to use the middle portion of each stitch like so to go into every stitch. So we're not going to use the back leg or the front leg. We're just going to go into the middle like that. So we're gonna catch our first stitch. I will continue to do this and I will meet you in a bit to show you what it looks like. So this is what I have now after I sewed two parts together. Just need to make sure that everything is aligned and looks even at the top and the bottom. Now I'm just going to secure and hide the thread and we will be ready to start on the crocheting the lace portion.